My name is Clara, and I never thought I'd be the main character of a story that sounds more like a twisted soap opera than real life. But when betrayal sneaks into your home, it doesn't knock. It crawls in quietly, shattering everything you thought you knew about the people you love. It started on an ordinary Saturday afternoon. The kind where sunlight filters through the curtains, and you imagine you're living inside a picture-perfect family portrait. My husband, Richard, was working late on some renovation project in the basement, and my son, Daniel, was running errands with his fiancée, Emily. At least, that's what I thought. I was upstairs folding laundry when I realized I had misplaced one of Richard's toolboxes. He had been complaining about it for weeks, so I decided to be a helpful wife and bring it down to him. That simple, innocent decision changed my life. The basement door was cracked open. I could hear muffled voices, one deep, familiar voice and another soft and feminine. I froze. Emily's laugh floated through the air. My son's fiancée. My future daughter-in-law. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought it would give me away. I crept closer, holding my breath. Through the narrow opening, I saw them. Richard had his hand on Emily's waist. She was leaning into him, their faces inches apart. The same girl who had been in my kitchen last week helping me bake cookies, giggling about wedding plans with my son, was in my basement wrapped in my husband's arms. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, to burst in and demand answers, but my legs felt rooted to the floor. I watched in horror as Richard brushed a strand of hair from Emily's face and kissed her. My husband, my son's fiancé. The world tilted, and I thought I might faint, but instinct told me to stay quiet, to listen. "I can't keep sneaking around like this," Emily whispered. Richard's voice was low, persuasive. "Just a little longer. Once things settle, we'll figure everything out. You know Daniel isn't right for you. He doesn't understand you like I do." Emily bit her lip, torn. "But he's your son." And then Richard said words that made bile rise in my throat. "He'll get over it. He's young. What we have is real, Emily. Don't you feel it?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I do." I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the laundry basket. My whole body shook with rage and devastation. How could they do this? My husband, my partner of 30 years. And Emily, the girl I had welcomed into my home like a daughter. But worse, how would I tell Daniel? That night, I sat across from Richard at the dinner table. Daniel and Emily had gone home, leaving us alone. Richard chatted about the weather, about work, as if nothing had happened. His lips still tasted of betrayal, and yet he had the audacity to smile at me. I wanted to scream, "I saw you," but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I studied him. The lines on his face I once admired now looked sinister. His hands, once symbols of comfort, were stained in my mind. I hardly slept. All I could think about was Daniel's wedding day. How he would stand at the altar, full of hope, while the woman he loved kept secrets with his own father. The image haunted me. The next morning, I made my decision. I wouldn't confront Richard right away. Not yet. I needed proof. Evidence. Something undeniable, so he couldn't twist the truth into lies. So, I became a detective in my own home. Richard had always been careless with technology. His phone, left charging on the nightstand, was an open book if you knew where to look. One morning, while he showered, I unlocked it with the code I'd seen him use 100 times. There they were. Dozens of messages between him and Emily. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel alive again. When will we tell him?" Each word was a dagger. I saved the screenshots, emailing them to myself. Then I found photos, selfies of Emily in my husband's car, pictures of them holding hands at a cafe just 2 blocks from Daniel's apartment. Proof. Hard, undeniable proof. But my heart wasn't satisfied with revenge. I wanted to understand why. Why would Emily betray Daniel like this? Was it about love, lust, money? Or was there something darker? I arranged to meet Emily alone. I told her Daniel had asked me to help with wedding planning, and she eagerly agreed. Over coffee, I studied her. She looked radiant, the glow of youth, but behind her eyes was a flicker of guilt. "So," I said casually, "you and Daniel have been together almost 3 years. You must be so excited." She smiled faintly. "Yes, of course," but her voice lacked conviction. I leaned closer. "Emily, I need you to be honest with me. What are your intentions with my son?" Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" I dropped my voice. "I know about you and Richard." The blood drained from her face. She set her coffee down with trembling hands. "Clara, please. Don't deny it," I snapped. I saw you, and I've read the messages. Tears welled in her eyes. I never meant for it to happen. I swear. It started as a stupid mistake, but then he made me feel seen. He made me feel powerful. Daniel is sweet, but he's naive. With Richard, I felt like I was in control of my life. I stared at her in disbelief. You're marrying Daniel. How could you betray him like this? Emily buried her face in her hands. Because I'm not who you think I am. I froze. What does that mean? She looked up, eyes blazing with a mixture of shame and defiance. I was never really in love with Daniel. The truth is, I was after Richard all along. The words hit me like a physical blow. You planned this, I whispered. She nodded slowly. I met Daniel at a party, yes. But when I saw his father, I knew he was the one I wanted. Daniel was just my way into your family. I left that cafe trembling with rage. It was worse than I imagined. Not only had Emily betrayed my son, she had manipulated him, used him as a stepping stone to get to my husband. That night, I confronted Richard. I laid the photos and messages on the table. His face turned pale, his mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. Clara, please let me explain. Explain what? I snapped. That you seduced a girl young enough to be your daughter? That you betrayed your own son? He dropped his gaze. It wasn't supposed to go this far. But it did, I said coldly. And now you're going to look Daniel in the eye and tell him the truth. Or I will. Richard begged. He pleaded. But I was done listening. The next day, I gathered Daniel in the living room. My hands shook as I handed him the phone with the screenshots. At first, he didn't understand. He scrolled through the messages, his brows furrowing. Then realization hit. His face crumpled. No, this can't be. Daniel, I whispered, tears streaming down my cheeks. I'm so sorry, but you needed to know. He read in silence for a long time. Then he looked up at Richard, his voice breaking. You were supposed to protect me. You're my father. Richard tried to reach for him, but Daniel recoiled. Don't touch me. Don't you ever touch me again. Emily wasn't spared either. When Daniel confronted her, she tried to cry, to beg forgiveness. But Daniel's love for her shattered instantly. He threw the engagement ring on the floor and walked away. Our family imploded overnight. Daniel moved out, choosing to live with friends rather than stay under the same roof as Richard. The wedding was canceled, the invitations burned. Richard tried to repair things with me. But how do you rebuild trust when the foundation is gone? Our marriage became a hollow shell. As for Emily, she disappeared from our lives entirely. Last I heard, she moved out of town, chasing another opportunity. Daniel struggled for months, but eventually he began to heal. He focused on his career, surrounded himself with friends who cared for him. Slowly, the light returned to his eyes. And me? I learned the hardest lesson of all. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the very people you love most. But I also learned that strength isn't measured by how well you avoid pain. It's measured by how you survive it. Speech balloon if this story gripped you. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every story here is about strength, survival, and the lessons we learn when life throws us into the fire. By subscribing, you'll always have a place where voices like mine, and maybe yours, are heard. Cherry Blossom.